Alright, y'all, hello and welcome to finally this episode learning about a company that's been requested a lot and one, quite frankly, I don't know much about, just little tidbits. We're talking about Opel. Now, as far as I know, Opel is a pretty big and famous car company, especially elsewhere in the world. We don't actually sell them here. I think they are based or originated from Germany. And the only presence they do have in America is, technical speaking, I think some of their cars were rebranded, at least for a while, in other General Motors brands. So like some Buicks, I've always heard, were rebadged Opels, Saturns, maybe even a Pontiac or two. Some of these cars that we did sell here under domestic moniker may have actually been based on an Opel. They might have been sold here a long, long time ago, so perhaps we'll find that out in this video. Anyway, let's dive right in. We'll be looking at little clips of certain videos. I'll have linked down below so you can watch the whole thing and check the channel. We'll be looking throughout the web, just kind of all over the place like I usually do with these, and this will be a fun way to scratch the surface and dive into Opel. So here we go. All right. So yeah, they are a German automobile manufacturer, a subsidiary of French automaker Group PSA. Now, right before I ended up leaving Chrysler, I was there for quite a few years, 8 or 9 years, I think. Of course, when I first went there, they were part of FCA, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, and then, around 2018-ish, I think, probably by the time I find out, it was under PSA. And then soon after that, I ended up leaving. So I'm aware that Chrysler is under PSA. I actually was not aware that Opel was. So that's kind of interesting. I always thought they were part of GM, but it actually looks like they were part of GM for a long time. As a matter of fact, from 1929 until 2017, that's a really, really long time. They were also sold in Great Britain under the Vauxhall brand, and there's some Vauxhalls that have been requested I want to take a look at as well. They were also sold in Australia under the Holden brand, some of their models. I was wrong about Pontiac, but sold in North America and China under Buick, Saturn, and Cadillac. So yeah, I know a couple Saturns I've had. Have some connections to Opel. Like my Saturn Vue, I have really small SUV. It is a manual transmission, and it's a Getrag. When you look up parts for it, it's not. It says from Germany. It's not American. We're going to take a gander at some of their cars over time to just get introduced. Not all of them, but this will be linked if you want to watch the whole thing. So look at these first motor carriages, you could call them. Look at this 1-cylinder, 9 horsepower. I mean, these are hilarious. But it's amazing, too, actually, that, we were making these that long ago. I bet this was a wild time for people that had never, ever had cars to be driving these. Bet it would be pretty cool. That one looks pretty snazzy with the Opel and the grille, the branding. Then fast forwarding to the 30s, look at their logo. I like how it shows the logo evolution as well. I love the 30s. These are actually pretty cool looking, these cars. Then going to the 50s, look at this. Oh my God. I love the colors, right? The 50s were so cool. Look at this 57 Opel. That is hilarious. Oh my God, I love that. An Opel Blitz. That is cool. 6-cylinder, 2.6 liter, this would be. 70 horsepower. Oh my God, that's funny. Wow. I mean, it's a dual rear wheel too. It's kind of I bet it was a heavy duty truck back then. Wow, look at these. Opel Kadett, I've heard that name. Definitely have to get familiar with the different models and stuff. Opel Kadett seems to be like a more compact car. I love this wagon. So yeah, big difference would be this era. I mean, they're just slightly smaller than like American cars at this time. They have that kind of broad styling that is really cool from back then. Of course, a lot of these have 4 cylinders, whereas a lot of American cars of this era would have been already really big, like inline 6s, and then of course V8s, right? So that's like one of the big differences. You would have to get a really small car back then in the US to have a 4-cylinder. This is more in line. This is a 6-cylinder, yeah. Opel Admiral, that's pretty cool. And I love how automatics were really rare back then, even in the U.S. And when you did have one, look at it, it's a 2-speed. I mean, how weird. Can you imagine just going and it only shifts once? That's really bizarre. You talk about some long gears. And this one does have a V8. So there we go. That's pretty cool to see. Wow. Opel Diplomat. This is pretty neat. So there were some big cars with V8s. Opel Manta. Ooh, this is neat. This has got some sportiness to it. Wow, Opel Ascona. I actually like these. These are actually pretty neat. That one looks so small. Be fun to buzz around in, especially these cadets, the sporty ones. I mean, 5-speed manuals. You have, decent amount of power, 103 horsepower for back then of a 4-cylinder. I'd say pretty damn good. Wow. Opel Manta. These are cool looking. I like these. You know what? This car, even though we're talking about 70s, I would have thought without seeing a year here that this was like mid 80s. This actually looks really good for a 77 car. And this one reminds me of in my head, this one really looks German, right? This doesn't look like an American car or a Japanese car or whatever. Like, this looks German. So you can kind of see that DNA in there. It's just cool. I like this one a lot. Opel Monza. Whoa. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure we had a Chevy Monza in the 70s. Wonder if they were related. Possibly. These Opel Manta, hatchbacks are kind of cool, dude. And then we get into the 80s. Look at this hot hatches. Look at this Opel Omega. Damn, again, I would have thought that was 90s. They look like futuristic for their year. I guess I'm used to American cars. This 87 Opel Senator, to me, looks more ahead of its time than an 87, let's say, Ford Taurus, right? Or a Chevy, or a Buick Roadmaster or something our cars were very blocky still in 87, whereas this looks really sleek and kind of modern, and it has the wipers on the headlights and stuff in 87. I mean, this is pretty advanced from my perspective. That's pretty cool. And this is such a dorky little car. I love the 80s styling, though, with those funny wheels. Look at this Opel Kadett Cabriolet. Wow. See, that's really cool. Opel Omega. This almost reminds me, I wonder if there's some Holden connections with some of these, because there is a lot of really cool sporty sedans like this in Australia, like the 80s Holdens. And I'm seeing almost similarities between this Omega and some of the Holdens from this era. I wonder if they were related for sure. Then we get into the 90s. Look at this Opel Calibra, Opel Astra. Yeah, these are neat. This is the logo we recognize, of course, today. Now, this car, I swear, was passed around everywhere. I've seen this from Australia. I think badged as a Holden. I've seen these all over the U.S. They're harder to find now because they're old, but these 90s, I wanted one of these when I was a teenager. This is definitely sold in America back then. And it was actually known under two things. You could either get this car as an Isuzu, I believe in an Isuzu Rodeo. You get it as a Honda Passport. I don't know how Honda was in there with the partnership, because at the time Isuzu was part of GM, and if Opel was part of GM, of course they would share stuff. I don't know how Honda got part of the equation, but Honda had a Passport. It was called the Honda Passport, and it was exactly the same SUV. So it's funny to see in Germany, Opel Frontera is what I would know as a Isuzu Rodeo. God, I'm gonna assume they've made so many freaking cars over the years. This is gonna be a long deep dive into them, an ongoing series, because I think it's gonna be very interesting. Look at that. That is hilarious. Now, we didn't have anything that looked quite like that. Look at an Opel Corsa. It's so small and round. An Opel Combo. Oh my God, look at this. I love weird cars. So naturally, I like that. I don't know why, but I like it. These Omegas are cool, especially the wagons. I really like those. That's a nice car. An Opel Astra. Ooh. It's kind of interesting. An Opel Tigra. Whoa. Look at that car. Look at the weird door shape. And it's completely bubble rear window. Wow, what a weird car. That's pretty fascinating. The Calibras are interesting as well. They're very different looking. Opel Astra. Yeah, these are kind of sporty. They're small. Opel Omega. Okay. Oh my God, that's a Cadillac. What do you call it? I got to find the name of this. This must have been one of the Opels that we had here for sure. Because this was a Cadillac. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. Okay, check this out. This is a Cadillac Catera. Tell me that's not that Opel. Come on. Yeah, it's been rebadged. There's the Opel Omega from 99. There is a late 90s Cadillac Catera. That is totally an Opel. By the way, it's not that the car is bad looking itself, but I think for Americans it was weird because Cadillacs were usually really big, luxurious cars, and this just didn't look like a Cadillac. It was, they're different brands, right? Like sometimes rebadging stuff works and sometimes it doesn't work. In this case, it did not work. These were hated so much in the U.S., if you were wondering. These had a horrible reputation. They were like known as very unreliable. They were known as just they didn't look or feel like any other Cadillacs. So I think rebadging stuff is always kind of interesting. And like I said, sometimes does work. In this case, it just did not work. Like this is just such a weird car. I would like it better as an Opel. I know it sounds weird. I'd rather it just be an Opel and then you know what you're getting. It looks better as an Opel, honestly. Whoa, 2001 Opel Speedster. Now that is freaking cool. You guys had those way before us. I'm pretty sure we had these at rebadged as Saturns. It was called a Saturn Sky. That had to be this for sure. But they didn't come out till like 2007, maybe 2006 or 7. This is a 2001, so that's pretty cool. This looks like it'd be a really fun car, although I don't know if I'd fit in that. It might be too tall, sticking over the windshield there. Opel Combo, these are funny. Of course, the Transit vans. You guys had these style longer than we've had them. Oh my God, there's another one, Opel Astra. Literally, they didn't even change anything. They literally took that badge off and put a Saturn logo on it. So we have the Saturn Astra. As a matter of fact, I think the Opel one looks slightly better just because look at this one. It's like a really, really sporty looking one. And I don't know if we had one that looked quite like this. This looks pretty cool. Actually, the performance stats are pretty impressive on it. Okay, so I was wrong earlier. That Opel Speedster, I don't think we got here in the U.S. at all. We did get this. This is an Opel GT Roadster. This is exactly the Saturn Sky we had here. So this is obviously the original, the Opel. They just swapped badges to a Saturn. But yeah, this exact same design. And I think these are pretty cool as well. These are quite a rare find. You see them on nice days or whatever, or at car shows here in the U.S., but they're not very common. There were two sister cars. The Saturn Sky, was identical to this, and then the Pontiac Solstice was a sister car to that. Clearly built on this same platform, but that looked pretty cool. It was very rounded, so it was actually different looking than this. Opel Insignia, these are Buicks. Oh my God, this is a badass car, by the way. Very underrated, at least in an American perspective. These things are fast. They got Brembo brakes, really wide, sticky tires. And how weird was this? That this was a Buick Regal in the U.S. A Buick Regal GS Turbo you could buy was this sport one like this with the exact same wheels and everything, the exact same aggressive bodywork like that. And it was a Buick that, again, is a brand more known as like luxury, just kind of cruisers. Then you could buy this Buick Regal GS that's clearly a rebadged Opel sporty sedan, and it came in a manual with a turbo, right? So how weird would it be as an American seeing a Buick logo on the steering wheel and you're driving a manual, like fast turbocharged car? It's a very weird car, and they're actually very sought after because they were impressive, I think. And then just a quick look at some of their newer ones, like Opel Grandland, Opel Vivaro. It's like a van. Yeah, and then if we just Google Opel, like it pulls up the wiki. Yeah, they are part of PSA or Stellantis. There's a look at one of their bicycles. I think that's pretty funny. And then I think the logo is kind of interesting, right? It's very distinct. It's kind of like a lightning bolt, and that's what it says. This says the origin of the lightning and Opel logo lies in the truck, that Opel Blitz we saw earlier, which of course Blitz would mean lightning in English. So yeah, that's pretty cool to find that out. Now what's interesting is we talked a lot about the rebadged cars here, but actual Opel cars were sold here as Opels for a very limited time from 1958 to 1975. That's pretty interesting. They were actually sold at Buick dealers even back then. So they were badged as Opels, but they didn't have their own dealer network. It was just basically they would slap them on with Buicks. So that's pretty bizarre. They've never had a really huge, distinctive presence here. And I like how it shows some of the comparisons here, like an Opel Cascada, right? And then a Buick Cascada. You see? They're basically the same car. Just a little different choice of wheels, of course the logo difference in the grille and stuff, but they're basically the same. There's a Buick Regal, like a newer one, not the body style I was talking about a minute ago, but a newer one. By the way, I think that's still a really sharp car, even from Buick there. And that's the original. There's the Opel version. So you can see the similarities. And there's the other body style, the older one we were talking about. Not the super sporty one, just kind of the regular version, as you can see. It's kind of interesting to see the difference. I think in this case, this exact comparison, I actually favor the Buick in this one. I think the Buick just looks a little sharper. And then, of course, Saturns, right? Saturns were very popular here. I think they're some of the best used cars you can buy. There's still a million of these on the road, and they're very reliable. I've had 2 of them, and I freaking have loved them. I don't have this exact model, but this is I believe it was called like a L300 or an L200 here, depending on what engine it had. And so there's a Saturn version. As you can see, its sister car, there's the Opel Vectra. So it does say they're the exact same car underneath. Now, the Saturn does look quite different, so they did go for a distinctive look here, which is kind of cool. I think Saturns are a little bit bizarre looking, but, they hold up. They had a really weird, like, space plastic, they called it or something, and I've tested it out. It does not dent. Shopping carts, baseballs, whatever. You can kick it, you can punch it. This will not dent. It's actually incredible stuff. It doesn't rust either, so it's pretty cool. And then we'll definitely have to dive into the real fun parts, right? I want to see like Opel's presence in rally and motorsports. Look at this. This is pretty cool, actually, looking at these. Look at that. Oh, that is a badass car, dude. And then look at, if we go to the Stellantis site, we do have Opel now. So they're not part of GM anymore. They're part of Stellantis. That's pretty interesting, in my opinion. I just wanted to look at the newer ones because we don't get these at all now. So yeah, if we look at Opel's lineup, look at that. It's pretty cool, dude. They have the Corsa, the Astra, the Maka, the Crossland, the new Grandland, Zafira, Combo. I like the high gloss, like black mixtures in there. Look at that. Ooh, damn. That is actually really sharp, not gonna lie. Holy smokes. I mean, if you're looking for a daily driver, it's a hatchback and reasonably priced, may I add. I mean, that's a sharp car in my opinion. And what the heck is this? This is kind of interesting. It's a weird looking car. It's like a small crossover or like a small SUV. Interiors are pretty nice on them. Yeah, look at that. Whoa, that's rad, dude. And then if we just go to Google Images, see what it pulls up with just Opel. Pulls up a lot of new ones. This Opel GT is cool. I'm good to guess that's like 70s or 60s. Thing is actually really neat looking though. Look at this GT Roadster. This must be some sort of concept. It's pretty snazzy though. This looks more realistic. Damn, that actually looks freaking cool. If that's real, that looks like a ton of fun. Damn, I like that a lot. There it is from the back. Wow, that is freaking cool, dude. I like this comparison because it did remind me of it. I should have said it on the first picture. This one is marked the European Baby Corvette, the Opel GT. I think that's kind of a cool comparison. It does look like a baby Corvette from that era. Like a 70 Corvette looks like this, just slightly bigger. Look at this one, this Opel Manta 400. That thing's actually badass, dude. I love that. The look of that thing. Oh my God. Yeah, that is going to be the next step. That's going to be really fun, diving into some of their motorsports heritage. So, I enjoy that. That's one of the best series on my channel is looking at motorsports from different countries and stuff. And I've learned about some really legendary cars, and there's a lot I still have never even touched yet. So Opel is one of those. I just don't know much or if anything about it, but I'm liking what I'm seeing for sure. Well, that is going to be this video diving into our first look at Opel. Indeed, a German company with a long history And interesting reach. They're sold in a lot of places. They're not sold here in the U.S., but they have had presence here, through, some networks of different brands. And I think that's kind of cool. You could almost argue I've a little bit of a connection with them just because I've had some Saturns and I've, not owned, but I've driven some different cars that may have had Opel ties over the years, so it's pretty interesting. I think there's a lot more to discover. These kind of videos are really, honestly, I learn more from you guys in the comments. So please share what you would, like to see more of about Opel, your experiences. Have you owned any Opels? What's your thoughts about the brand and different highlights that maybe I should know about? I'm all ears. I really do appreciate you being here. That's all I got for you in this one. There's a lot more to come. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. Catch you later.